Tell you what I do. Try to retrace my steps.
Welcome to Culture Screen, where we analyze culture. In this episode, we're summarizing the 8th episode from Season 6 of the Sopranos series titled Johnny Cakes. The episode first aired on April 30th, 2006. In the beginning, a fire truck is driving by toward an emergency, and Vito chases down the truck to see where it's going. Vito sees that one of the volunteer firefighters is actually the short order cook, Jim Witowski. After this, Vito starts visiting the diner every morning. Jim and Vito begin flirting with each other. Jim starts to ask Vito about his line of work, and Vito is forced to create a new identity for himself. He tells Jim that he is a sports writer. He adds that he is doing research so he can write a book on famous boxers. Jim eventually realizes that Vito is lying when Vito is unable to carry on a conversation about boxers that he would know about if he were actually a sports writer.
Sometimes you tell a lie so long, you don't know when to stop.
Later on, Jim invites Vito to hang out with one of his co-workers at a local bar. After Jim's friend leaves for the night, Vito and Jim are left alone in the parking lot. At this moment, Jim makes a move on Vito and gives him a kiss. Immediately, Vito panics and he assaults Jim. Jim counters and beats Vito down, and he leaves Vito laid out on the floor. After this, Vito and Jim don't communicate for some time, but Vito eventually makes up with Jim by going back to the diner and sparking up a conversation. We see the two driving away to have a romantic picnic. Vito decides that he has a good life in New Hampshire with Jim, and living out his true identity is now a possible reality for him. Vito then takes the phone of a fellow guest at the hotel, and he calls up his wife and son to say his final goodbyes. He ends by telling his wife where she can find additional cash hidden around the house. Later on, Phil stops by to visit Marie, and he tells her that he wants to help find Vito. However, the viewer knows full well that Phil has no intention of helping Vito and instead wants to take his life. As a result of this, Phil continues to press Tony to seek and take out Vito himself. Phil believes Tony is not doing enough to find and eliminate Vito. Tony continues to remind Phil that because Vito is under the jurisdiction of his New Jersey crew, the decision on whether or not to take Vito out and when to do it is ultimately his to make. In another scene, we see Patsy and Bert do their rounds where they collect tribute from the local small businesses. They head into a corporate coffee shop and they try to press the employee into paying tribute. But the employee explains to them that if any of the money went missing, corporate would find out and expose that they were stealing. This would only mean the employee would get fired and a new manager and employee would be hired. This would mean that the wise guys would have to repeat the process over and over again, therefore exposing themselves to law enforcement every time. This is when Patsy tells Bert that corporations are making it harder on the little guy. This scene is a comedic way of showing how corporatization slowly eats away at small businesses until they can no longer compete with bigger corporations. It is a bit comedic to hear this coming from two mafioso who themselves extort and live off the hard work of others.
It's over for the little guy.
Remember, I am summarizing this entire series as well as other popular works of literature, movies, and TV shows as well. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next episode or series. Let me know what you'd like me to summarize in the comments section below. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Visit our merch store and support us on Patreon if you can. Doing this helps my channel out tremendously.
Your amigos with the baggy pants.
Later on, we are introduced to a corporate real estate representative named Juliana Skiff from Jamba Juice. Juliana comes to Satrialis to speak to Tony about a property he owns. She wants to purchase a building that currently houses a small business. The business is currently run by locals, but Jamba Juice feels it would be a great location to open up another franchise. Tony rejects Juliana's offer and says that he wants his Little Italy to stay as it is, rather than allowing corporations to erode the Little Italy he grew up in. In another scene, Tony is again complaining that AJ seems to have no aim in life. AJ has a job at Blockbuster and he doesn't do much to rise the corporate ranks because, just like many youths his age, he doesn't see the purpose in hard work or in rising up the ranks of corporate America.
This is not to be used for any kind of personal entertainment.
In the nights, AJ goes clubbing and he hangs out with friends who only use him. His friends are always probing at his family life and are curious to learn about how it is to have grown up under Tony Soprano. the mob boss of Jersey. AJ argues that he goes clubbing only because he sees himself becoming a club owner one day. Again, this is seen by AJ as an easy way of making money without actually having to put in much effort. AJ grows enraged when Tony and Carmela suggest he start off by learning how an actual business runs first by putting in the hard work necessary. The viewer has seen firsthand throughout the series how AJ was raised. He mainly played video games and had an aloof upbringing. Now, all of a sudden, he is expected to have a disciplined work ethic and to have a high level of ambition that he was not raised to have in the first place. AJ also grew up knowing that both his mother and father made a living illegitimate, his father being a mob boss and his mother being unemployed and generating no W-2. AJ did not have role models growing up to show him the meaning and value in hard work.
This is just what I mean. And you guys never give me any support in anything I want to do.
When AJ heads out to go clubbing again, we see he is depressed and in a darker mood than usual. The next day, he is again in a depressed state and seems to be dragging himself across the house. We see AJ then grabs a knife and shows up at the retirement home where Uncle Junior is to take him out. AJ is so nervous about what he is about to do that he ends up dropping the knife and he doesn't even get close to Uncle Junior. We see that not only does AJ not have what it takes to be a hard-working citizen, but he also does not have what it takes to follow in Tony's footsteps either, due to his upbringing. After dropping the knife, AJ is arrested and charged with attempted murder. As a way of helping AJ escape the criminal charge, Tony reaches out to Zellman, the assemblyman. After AJ is released, he has a profound conversation with Tony. Tony tells AJ that he has to grow up and that getting into illegal antics and being a bad person will not make life any better or easier in the long run. We see Tony wants AJ to grow up to be a good man, unlike him. On their drive home, Tony makes a deal with AJ not to tell Carmela about what happened to him. This experience does not stop AJ from continuing to party with his friends, however. He begins to notice more and more than ever before that his friends are in fact merely just using him because he is Tony's son. He heads to the bathroom and suffers another panic attack. As we catch up with Tony, we see that he finally agrees to sell the small business to Juliana, the Jamba Juice agent, after she offers a substantially higher price. Tony signs the deal and he thinks about spending some intimate time with Juliana at her apartment. However, Tony does not go through with his plan and decides to be faithful with Carmela instead. That was episode number 73, titled Johnny Cakes. To watch the next or previous episode summary, click on the link in the description or at the end of this video. In the description, you will also find additional links for supporting our channel. I'll see you on the next episode.
Stop crying. Stop crying.
We upload new videos every week, so subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Click the notification bell to be notified of when we upload these videos. See you on the next episode of Culture Screen.